Okay, hi Leslie. This is just a demo video to show you the mill working, and I've taken your artwork that you sent through on Messenger, and I'm just going to show you how you can convert that into a file that you can use, for example, to create cut paths with in Easel. So I'm using Inkscape here, which is a free-to-download image and vector editor, which is pretty useful. It can handle DXF files and SVG files, which are scalable vector graphic files. So this is actually a bitmap, so you can see when you zoom in it gets blurry, but Inkscape has a useful tool. So select the bitmap path and it can trace the bitmap. So I'll do that, and you can see it looks pretty rough and ready because the resolution is low, but you can play around with the settings over here. So just go with the default brightness cutoff, and if I just say OK, it will convert, close that, it will convert that to a vector. So this is the bitmap, which was kind of blurry because it was low resolution, but now it's converted to something that you can edit, that has paths and nodes. So some things don't convert very well because the resolution on this is quite low. So for example, the font has got a bit messed up, so in this case I'm going to delete nodes that are bad, and I've replaced them over here with an actual font. So this is sorry, select it. This is, have I converted that to paths? Let's see. Just want to select. Okay. Okay. So that, yeah, it is still a font. So this is actual words. You can change what it says here. But one thing to watch out once you've created the artwork is convert everything to paths. So this is, it still thinks this is a font, whereas really you want it to be a path. So the way to do that is object to path. So when you do that, and then suddenly it's not a font anymore, it's just a collection of lines and curves. So once you've created the artwork, I've created this part that we want to cut out, and I've copied that into a new file, which is here. So I've made the page size the same size as the workpiece, which in this case is just a piece of A4, so 297 wide by 210 tall. Everything's been converted to paths, so now rather than a font, it's just a collection of nodes and points, which you can do object to path here. So I've saved this as an SVG, and we'll use this in Easel to create toolpaths. Okay, so jumping over to Easel, which is this is what I recommend sort of if you're just getting into CNC. So I've opened this file in Easel, import SVG, and it comes in. You can scale it as you wished to however big you want it to be. And over on the left side it gives you the toolpaths, and on the artwork, and the right side it gives you like a preview of what it will look like. So for example, say we want to select this and we want to make it, I've made it 3mm deep, so just make it type 3, oops, 3mm. Okay, and it will simulate that over here, so you can click on the detailed view. It does its thing for a bit, and then it will show you what it looks like actually cut out. Now one thing to watch, you can see I've set it up here as the stock to be birch plywood, which is a standard, width 297, length 210, which is just A4, and thickness, which doesn't matter a whole lot in Easel, but I've just put in a nominal 15mm. And the bit here, Easel gives you, in the standard mode, you have a certain number of pre-programmed bits, but I usually go for, down here you can choose what bit you use. So in this case I'm assuming we're going to use a 2mm end mill, which I've dialed in the settings for. Just type 2 and enter, and then it has got V-bits, which this job would be suited to, but it's a pro feature, so that's a paid feature in Easel at least. So you can see because it's a 2mm bit, it can't quite fit in some of the narrower parts of the text. So you can use narrower bits, but it has the consequence of doubling the machining time. So if you simulate that with a 1mm bit, there'll be a huge amount of toolpaths, and the job will take ages. So you don't really want that. It would be forever completing. That's an hour and 34. So usually you do a roughing and a finishing pass. So if you make the bit 2mm, the job time will come down to 43 minutes, which is good. So generally try and make your artwork fit with the bit, so nothing narrower than the bit size, otherwise you end up with this kind of thing happening. Now you can tweak the artwork, so for the sake of this demo, you can go in and edit points here. Press the E key and zoom in. Oops, okay, that's not going to work. But you can tweak points in here, and you can open this up so that the tool can actually get through. So I've gone for 3mm depth, and over here you can, in cut settings rather, it tries to predict settings in automatic, but I recommend going for manual. So I've gone for 500mm per minute feed rate, which is X and Y, and plunge rate is 250, which is the Z direction, and a maximum depth per pass of 1.5mm. Depth per pass depends on the hardness of the material and the diameter of the bit you want to use. Generally with these settings it's better to have a test piece and do some trials first, but these are good starting points, I think. If you push the feed too hard or push the depth per pass too much, you end up loading up the bit, which can cause skipped steps, and then you end up with all sorts of problems. So it's generally better to err on this slower side to start with. Run something on a test piece, like with just one letter on a piece of scrap, and then see how that comes out, and then you can get confidence to what settings will work with the full job. Because the last thing you want to do is get 90% through a job and something goes wrong, and the piece gets ruined. So it's always better to try on a test trial piece first. So yeah, that's saying, we're saying here we're going to do 1.5mm per pass, 3mm depth total, so it's 2 passes. So on the simulation you should be able to just about see 2 layers of toolpaths. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and it's kind of hard to see, but might be easier to see over here. You can just about see. So this O is twice round on the top, and then it goes down 1.5, and it goes twice again, and that will cut the O. Okay, on Easel, the datum for the workpiece is always the bottom left corner and the top surface. So your 0 or your origin, which you need to set with the bit, which I'll show you in a minute, is over here. So once you've done that, you can the next bit is connecting to the machine. Now, and I'll do that as a separate video.